Wow. It's really an honor and a privilege to have followed all these fantastic speakers. I'm also acutely aware that it's 5 o'clock and I'm standing between you guys and the wine that's coming later. So that's a challenge. I'll try to overcome that as best I can here. So we'll start just by a short introduction. Nadine, I'll do it the military way. This is my name, this is my picture, this is my title. This is what I do. I won't share with you my personal number or my social security number because after Lucy's speech, I don't share any data with any other person or any other object. In the future, I'll be very careful with that. But if we're going to talk a little bit more about purpose and objectives and the reasons, and I think that was a great opening for the day, Nadine, so I think I'll try and go back to that. This is also me when I was 12 years old with my mother. Now, at 12, I was actually one of the most, despite all this preteen kind of anxiety, I was actually at my most confident. And I think this is quite interesting, and we can have a long chat about that, about females and confidence, and that's a whole chapter in itself. But the fact of the matter is also that at 12, if you'll recognize the picture also, you'll see that this is from the General Assembly of the United Nations in New York. At 12, I was not only confident about myself and possibilities and what could be done, I was also confident that there was an international structure of systems and of processes that could actually sort out the challenges that we have today. Fast forward to today. I am CEO of Reach for Change, and this is an organization that's based in Sweden, and we believe in the power of unleashing social entrepreneurship as a method to actually support the challenges that children and young people are facing today. And to date, we have supported over 1,000 entrepreneurs who have impacted positively the lives of 4 million children. And we've talked a lot about different assets and different trends, but for me, and my driver and my ambition and what I want to work on and my purpose is what I consider to be our greatest asset today, and that is the children and the young people who are inheriting all the threats and all the challenges and all the possibilities that we are leaving them with today. And we believe that the right idea in the hands of a passionate entrepreneur is the best catalyst for change. So in practice, we seek out these entrepreneurs. And Lucy, I'm going to pick on you again because also our aim is to scale them. And we'll have a conversation about that again over a glass of wine. But for us to scale, it also means partnership. And I'll get into why that's so important and how we do that as well. So today I am, as I said, slightly less optimistic, I would say, than that precocious 12-year-old that you saw in the picture. In Sweden, we have an expression, lillgammal. That was exactly what I was there. Today, rather than just feeling this kind of it's late in the evening. Rather than feeling this confidence, what I feel is a sense of urgency. And we were talking about it today. We've touched on the different trends, but something that I really feel strongly for, and which is something that we're all facing today, is that we have about 11 and a half years left to go between now and the fact that climate change is completely irreversible. I feel a complete sense of urgency when I think that in 2017, 82% of the collected wealth was amassed for the 1% of the population. I feel a sense of urgency when we don't have our resources that are distributed in a just and equitable way. I feel this sense of urgency when we were just talking about investments now, but we have an Agenda 2030 and we have Sustainable Development Goals, yet we lack $2.3 trillion annually to actually reach those goals. I feel the sense of urgency even more acutely when I think of the generations of young people who will be inheriting these threats and these polarizations and this inequality. But I am also filled with possibility and with hope And as I said, we have supported over 1,000 change leaders and social entrepreneurs across these 10 years. But today I thought I'm not going to share with you the numbers. I'm going to share with you the stories. This is Eva. Eva's from Denmark. She grew up as a technology geek. She loved everything tech, she loved everything digital. She coded, she programmed, she tested, she built, she iterated. And this was the world that was hers, but she shared it alone. She actually comes from a computing family, but nobody really knew that she was a tech girl at heart. Her role in this world as a girl was completely overlooked. And as she got older, she looked for role models in this world, and when she would Google tech girls, what would come up would be pinup girls. She saw nobody in her direct environment who was actually creating the code, creating the technology, and creating the digital world. She was completely excluded from that. And because of this, Eva didn't follow her passion. She didn't go into technology. She actually went into Waldorf teaching. Fast forward now to 20 or so years later, when I am traveling as CEO of Reach for Change and visiting our entrepreneurs. I met with Jay, I met with Tina, passionate entrepreneurs from Ghana who are facing the exact same challenges as Eva is. I traveled to Ethiopia and I met Masresha. Now, Masresha was the only girl in her engineering class working with computer science, and there was no other men there. So what she's doing is actually teaching young people to tech, because she doesn't want those young girls to have the same exclusion and those feelings of marginalization that she did. Traveling to Tanzania, I met with Nancy. Nancy has a dream that little girls would one day be the creators of the digital tools and technology that we all use today. So Eva, Jay, Tina, Masresha, and Nancy, they share similar challenges. And they are trying to tackle something which is extremely difficult and which we've talked about today. And those are structural and systemic discriminations that are built into the system. And strangely enough, which I was actually surprised about, and which you might also be surprised to hear today, is that those structural discriminations, they didn't look so different in Ethiopia and in Ghana and in Denmark and in Sweden. So what happened to these girls? They just finished, actually last week, a week of learnings in Stockholm, where Reach for Change brought them together for a program we called Bridget, which is a program where we seek to build community. We seek to build camaraderie among these entrepreneurs and selected partners. This is not what the camaraderie looks like. Here it comes. So I think this program signifies two things. The first is that it takes new approaches and innovative approaches, and it takes community to solve these kind of systemic challenges we're in. And the other commitment that we feel and that we share with these entrepreneurs is that to be able to create these sustainable solutions, we need to be inclusive. We need to listen to the people who have the understanding of the problem, who own the problem, and who are a part of the beneficiary group that us philanthropists talk about. We need to work with these local heroes. We need to build them. We need to build their capacity. Need to build their network and their knowledge so that they can keep on iterating and testing and developing these new solutions. Now, these women here, they share a common passion, and they want to make our world more inclusive. But there's something that I share with these women as well, and that, again, is the commitment to local grassroots initiatives being able to solve these challenges that we're in. And why is that? It's because it's these change leaders, these activists, these grassroots heroes that actually signal the alarm bells. They are the ones who are special kinds of leaders. They not only challenge the status quo, because they're not treating the symptoms, they're actually treating the broken systems. And the power of social entrepreneurship is that they also understand this sense of urgency that I was talking to you about, and that I feel, and that I know that you all feel and share in this room. But they combine this sense of urgency with possibility. But the journey does not end here. We know that we have to connect these entrepreneurs to the know-how and the skills and the network within the private sector, within the investment that we have been talking about, within the digital tools, so that we can create a more inclusive and just society. And Reach for Change takes a risk on these early innovations because we see their possibility, but we really cannot act alone. We need partnership. The entrepreneurs to be able to actually have a sustained impact and to actually work with the problems that they are addressing. They need investment, they need know-how from the private sector. They need other types of investment. They need philanthropic investment that can actually take a risk, and an early stage risk, so that they can later come and say, you know, we built these large businesses that are now ESG compliant, and look at how you can help us and support those through your pension money. Now, our world today is increasingly fast-paced and complex. We have heard that. We have heard of the extreme rate we're going, and we will not be able to find the solutions to our problems in silos. We will have to work in the nexus between civil society, private sector, government, and social innovation. Actually, Reach for Change just did a study together with Novus, and we asked the Swedish people, who do you trust to make a social change today? And the number one agent that they named was companies. So we have a power with consumers. We have a kind of wanting interest and trust for politicians. So we need to have these companies and these resources meet with the local innovations and meet with the people who actually exist to solve these problems and who own the problems. So the nexus will not only require new models of cooperation, it will also require new models of financing. And as an audience today, we all are in one way distributing or receiving philanthropic capital. So we all have a unique opportunity, but we also have the burden of responsibility on us. Because I think philanthropic capital can play a critical role in the paradigm shift that we're facing, but it does need to take a risk on local innovations. It can act as a catalyst to build capacity, and it can, most importantly, really take an active role in actually funding this nexus that we're talking about. Toni Morrison said, as you enter into positions of trust and power, dream a little before you think. Now, if we can all dream a little, if we can all embrace innovation and work together, then I think we really do have the potential to make this radical shift from power in the hands of a few to empowering people. And hopefully together we can also make sure that more 12-year-olds have a confidence in the system, and that have a confidence that we are actually finding sustainable solutions to the challenges that we're creating. Thank you.